I'm very much an identifiable Jew, wearing a head covering called a yarmulke, having a beard, the garb that I wear, a kapata. There's no doubt. Interesting, I live in Montreal, a very mixed bag, if you will, of all sorts of people. And yet, personally, I don't experience anti Semitism. Is there anti Semitism? Oh, absolutely. Is it on the rise? Absolutely. No question. Yet, me, a very identifiable Jew, haven't experienced it. On the flip side, I'm going to share some thoughts. In the meantime, let's hear from Ben Shapiro about him, his yarmulke, his identity, and anti Semitism.
And I mean that to all the Semites, the anti-Semites who are out there, all the anti-Semites who want to suggest that Jews everywhere should be living in fear of wearing a yarmulke or speaking their values, which happen to be correct values. Everyone out there who suggests that if you support Israel, you deserve to be treated as a second-class citizen, or that Israel itself ought to be treated as a second-class country. I wear the yarmulke because I stand against all of that. And I know that there are tons of people who are not Jewish who believe the same things that I do. And I'm so grateful for that. I get your notes. I get your letters of support. I get that the vast majority of Americans understand the truth, not only with regard to the Israel-Arab conflict, which of course is a foreign conflict, but also they understand the underlying truth about the nature of Jews living in the United States and the reality of Jewish values. And I say all of this to say that if people fail to recognize these basic truths, that Judeo-Christian values undergird American values and Western values and the liberties that we all enjoy, if people fail to recognize the basic decency of one state attempting to minimize civilian casualties while another terrorist group attempts to wipe every Jew it can off the planet, that if people fail to recognize this, and if they in fact forward this agenda, and if they cheer that agenda, they are complicit in the anti-Semitic attacks that we have seen over the course of these weekends. I'm not saying they're responsible for those attacks unless they openly call for them, because I have a very strict standard when it comes to quote-unquote incitement. But you have raised the temperature. You have made it more comfortable.
That's true. But I don't wear my yarmulke to stand against something. I don't have an identity to be, not like them, to be different. I have my identity for positive reasons, because this is the Jewish way, or a Jewish way at least. It's not only Jewish way, of course, but a Jewish way. And I embrace the positivity of what it means to be a Jew. A Jew means someone, when they see that someone needs help, we're there. We're there not just to help our own families, our own friends, our own community, but we have a responsibility for all of humanity. That's how we feel about it. The Lubavitcher Rebbe once had the superintendent of education of New York City come to speak with him, and the Rebbe spoke to him not about the needs of the Jewish children in the public school system in New York City and what his community, the needs would be. He spoke to them about the Chinese community, which at that time was a new community, or a relatively new community, and new schooling system. And they were struggling. It came to the Rebbe's attention. And he brought to his attention, please look into the Chinese schools. This goes back over 40 years ago. And help them with their struggles. What does the Lubavitcher Rebbe have to do with the Chinese community? Except that he feels a responsibility that if there's something that he can do to help anyone, he will help anyone and everyone. Why does he do that? That's the Jewish way. We learn from him to be there for any and everyone. I run a drug crisis center called Chabad Lifeline. Why do I do that? It's helping all people, not just Jewish people. Drugs don't know a difference between race, religion, values. Drugs will devour and take a life of anybody if it can. But because we feel the responsibility, the opportunity came to me to be able to do something with drug addiction. People needed the help. We put together something that is unbelievable in helping people's lives. From time to time, I get people who say, Rabbi, thank you. You saved my life. Because we're here to change the world for good. So we talk about anti-Semitism, and I know that that's a probably very small group, but a noisy group of anti-Semites. And most people, and the people who are listening to this, I would assume, are good people, decent people, want to do only but good. So let's band together. Let's increase in acts of goodness and kindness. This is what the Lubavitcher Rebbe responded to when CNN came to him over 30 years ago and asked him, you say the Messiah is coming, Rabbi. What should we do? So he says, increase in goodness and kindness. So that's what our focus should be. The way to fight anti-Semitism is being true to yourself as Jews, and for non-Jews to be authentically themselves, which is goodness and kindness. If we increase in that, we'll diminish all the darkness of the world. You bring a little light into a dark place, it spreads that light very quickly and automatically and decreases the darkness. Yes, there's lots of darkness out there, but the way to deal with it is put on the light. We all have a soul that is a light, created in the image of God. When we put it on through an act of goodness and kindness, through another mitzvah, for the Jewish people, 613 commandments, mitzvahs we have. For the nations of the world, 7 Noahide, universal laws of all mankind. Let's make it happen, and together we will bring the final redemption, a world of good. Shiach now.